Hey guys, welcome back to Hidden Shed. So today I'm going to be addressing a problem which I quite commonly have in the shop. So as you can see, this is my brand new router. Now, it's about 10 years old. It was, what was it? It's like a B&Q special buy or something, but it doesn't want to die, and for some reason all the old B&Q special buys never want to die, and this is one of them. It works relatively well, cuts straight and everything, obviously if you have a straight enough guide. I'm not actually sure how many watt motor is. It is a 1020 watt motor. It's alright, it's not the best. You have to constantly hold that in, which is kind of a pain in the butt, but I'll be fixing that today. And obviously have your variable speed on the top. I just always keep it at max, don't really see why you'd need to. Obviously super basic plunge router. Anyway, that's not the point. It's not a review on a 10-year-old router. My point is that if you're working with a small piece, you always are a bit stuck because you can't clamp it down, so you can't traditionally use the router like you normally would, so then you need a router table. And I only really ever use the router as it is now for sake of when I do the top for my new workbench or anything else massive like that. Apart from that, I always have it in a temporary router table. Alright, so as you can see, this is my super poor excuse of a router table. So this is literally the only bit I can find for this router. So I did address that problem today and went out and bought some super cheap bits. Obviously this router is literally going to die really soon, I should imagine. So we are going to be getting a brand new Makita one, a nice big one. Not really sure which model we're going to get, but we're definitely going to get one. So anyway, what I did is I did all of this with a Forstner bit, chiseled it out, all full of dust from me using it. Anyway, so then what happens is the base of the router sits in there, it's pretty snug. And then what also happens is the bars, so there are two metal bars, and so then what happens is the bars come through here, then this tiny piece of wood just goes straight over the bars and holds the actual router in, and it works really well, to be honest with you. It is like the most thrown together setup ever, I should imagine, but it works. So we're going to try and be making a tabletop router. So what we're going to use for the top is this piece of melamine, simply because it's really nice and shiny, good for filming, and it is really smooth, so the workpieces can flow across and not get scratched. So then we also have two pieces of 8-foot 2x3, and that's going to be sort of like the actual cabinet base itself. I think I'm just going to leave it all open for the meantime, and also I will try and incorporate some bit storage just for this little thing to sit. So what I'm going to start to do is we're going to center the router, so I will just get a square. So I'm just going to use a tri-square and make sure that the router is square to the table, and I'll just pull my tri-square apart. Right, so if I try and put this back together. Okay, nearly done. I'll fix my tri-square. Okay, so we'll tighten it off. So then I'm roughly going to centre it, just roughly from eye. So obviously when we get the new router, I will be replacing this top, and then what we'll do, just line it up, and as I said, make it square. And to be honest with you, it was square already. Right, so now what we'll go ahead and do is lock that off. There we go. Mark around the base of the router. So I'm not going to make any fancy smanchy base plate system. I'd love to, but obviously I'm building this all out of materials on hand. So obviously here's the base of the router. So what we're going to do is we will take the bit out of the router and replace it with a straight cutting. So if I can get this box open. Okay. So I'll put this back. Alright, so I'm going to go with the biggest straight cutter. So it's got a 1/4 inch shank, and I don't know what this is. This is a, how big is it? I'm guessing 1/2 inch. Nope, it is a 16 millimeter, so about that. Okay, so we'll go ahead and put it in the router. Alright, so I've literally spent 5 minutes trying to get the bit out, because you might just be able to see there, but the actual housing is cracked. That's why I'm kind of scared using this router, and I've managed to get the collet out. And I've also managed to get this bit out, and I don't think this bit's been out for quite a few years, so it was actually stuck in the collet, so I had to pull it out. Sorry about any lighting issues, so just go ahead and push the collet back in. Right. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and put the nut back on. The reason I'm wearing a glove is because a minute ago I don't think it was grease, but a load of stuff came out. Right, so we'll put the bit in. Okay, just do it up hand tight. Okay, right, so now you actually have to hold this down really tight with like a piece of metal, so I'll just do it with a spanner or a wrench, however you want to say it. Right. And then I'll come back to you in 5 minutes when I've managed to put it in. So I finally got the bit in, and I will, the housing, every time I tightened it tighter, sort of opened up a bit more, which is bad, like really bad. I've done a test, and it's working perfect. Wow, could work a lot better. Definitely I'm going to say that, but it's good enough for now. So, if I unplug it, so I don't take my hand off, and then line it up to the previous line we've drawn, then what we need to do is draw around here a bit. There we go. So then what we're going to do is actually, when we secure the router, I am going to be using the same method. When we secure it, I will just plunge straight through with the bit. I've set the router to go roughly 3/4 of the way through the material. Alright, so I finished routing out the space finally. So obviously I haven't used a router with a straight cutter bit for absolutely ages. I honestly can't remember the last time I used one. I've only really ever used bearing guided bits, or only ever really needed to. Anyway, so now obviously we've got it routed out. Obviously now the router sits in there. Okay, so now what we need to do is well, I should just quickly cover that I was wearing a full face mask and a full dust a dust respirator thing. The usual what you normally wear for turning. I've just recently picked up the mask. Alright, so now what we can start to do is, if I hoover this out really quick. Okay, so now what we need to do is we I'm going to plan ahead a tiny bit. So I'm roughly going to set my tri-square for 1 inch. Lighting is absolutely terrible. I'm going to set up a light in a minute for you. And then just mark all down the edge 1 inch. And then that will allow us to, that will give us a tiny bit of a reference for later on. About where we can, where the, and there goes the ruler, where the 2x3s will sit. Doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. Obviously, that bit of board wasn't straight there. Just a very quick, very rough way. So everything within the pencil line will be sort of the inside, then everything out, so this will be like the lip. So what we are also going to do is, obviously this is actually going to be the top, so then what we can do now is we'll place the router in. Okay, lead. So now what we should be able to do is plunge the bit in. So this is the biggest bit, apart from obviously the chamfer bits. So I'm going to get a force on the bit and drill it out. So what the simplest way will be for that is, obviously I've unplugged the router, so I've got no power, just for safety. Right, so if I remark this, because it turns out it disappears when you route it, because obviously we removed all the material with the marking on. Right, so we've got a rough square. Don't know whether you guys can see it. Yep, you can. Okay, so if I just grab a smaller ruler and try and line it up and try and find the center roughly. So then we'll get the drill press or the pillar drill, whatever you want to call it, to drill it out. Right, so I can't find my Forstner bit, so I'm just going to do it with a hole saw. So I will change the size out now. Pretty cheap hole saw set, but it should do just fine. I'm not going to put it in the pillar drill, just do it the cordless. The somewhat unbreakable Audi cordless, that is. Okay. Right, and we need a backer board, so if I just grab an old piece of MDF. Okay, so then we'll start drilling. Okay, it's gone loose. Tighten that with the spanner quick. Alright, there we go. Got a spanner that is fitting. Right. Right, so we're through. Looks like it's I should have done the reverse, but yeah, that could have definitely been a whole lot cleaner with the Forstner bit. But as I said, can't find one. So usually what you got, it's not like the big, like the $1 million furniture. So or I should say pound anyway, because I'm not in the S. So if I just get the biggest bit that we have, which to be honest with you, even is not that big, will easily fit in there. But you know, it's kind of nice to have some leeway and just like a bit of space to play with, if you see my point. So if we put the router in there, and then if we just temporarily hold it and unlock it, might help. And then just plunge it down as much as we can, position it over these holes. There we go. So then, obviously, there's the router bit, and the router is turned off. Should work just as well as the other one did. No reason why it shouldn't. So now, what we're going to do is actually mount the router. So first of all, I've got to find the other one of these rods. And what will happen is these rods slide through here, and then obviously it can take the whole weight of the router. This is actually for fence, but obviously using what I've got. So then there was, if I can get some light, there you go, there is supposed to be a screw there. Obviously that is long gone. I only actually just noticed there's supposed to be a screw there, and that is the same on the other side. So I will just grab some screws, cut the ends off, and that should do. Here are both the rods, obviously placed into the router, and now I have had a bit of an idea. So I've not really got any plans for this. I am literally just making it up as I go along, sort of like custom fit. I find it a lot easier to build like that. Anyway, so what we could do is get a V-bit and channel some out so it sits in. But I don't really want to go through the whole plather of mounting the collet and get it in and out, putting it back in. All a bit of a pain in the ass for this router. So I think what we'll do is when we go to cut the pieces of wood to secure this, we will more or less do all the work there. This is sort of my plan. So I've plunged the router down to as much as it can go with the rods in and into the slot. So I've took this piece of 2x3, obviously not cut the size. So what I'm thinking about doing now is cutting two little blocks, same length. So obviously there, and then milling out some slots for the rods to sit in, and then literally just put some screws in to hold it down. And I think that'll work because that's what I did with the other one. So I've gone ahead and cut the piece of 2x3, not fee. So now I am just gonna roughly mark where the slots need to go. Obviously when we get the new router, as I've said, all of this will change, and I will do a video on it, so it will keep you up to date. So cut the piece roughly, and then we'll just get a chisel, the bench hook, and the homemade mallet we made, if we need it. Doubt we will, but anyway. Actually, now I think about it, it is cross grained, so probably and then just start chiseling away. Don't want to take that much material off, just want to get down to the saw cut. The reason I'm coming in with a chisel is obviously because the blade is circular, and I did it on the mitre saw, not a table saw. Still saving up for a new one, so I won't have to cut everything on the mitre saw and the skill saw. Okay, right, there's one done. And then here is the other one, obviously. Right. So we've got to follow this one through a bit straighter. Right. There we go. And then that just sits on there. And then obviously we'll have another one screwed down either side. And then obviously that's going to hold our router in. And if I just bring it over here, there's one here, okay. The router can plunge down to its full depth. Actually, I may have... Nope, that is at full depth. Okay. So, going well so far. Right, so the idea with the 2x3s completely went to pot when I had a little test. Yeah, I wouldn't advise that. Anyway, so I've gone back to the method that has always worked. Same thing, just without the slots. Obviously here it is, midway through, and it turns out I actually didn't get all of the depth that this router can provide. Anyway, so what is stopping it? Oh, it's the bar. There we go, that's what this. Anyway, so obviously here it is now. Obviously the bit is kind of obvious, so literally we can start work on the main cabinet now. So if we get the router up to its full height, and we just get something to measure it, it is roughly, so give or take, let's say this unit has to be 30, give or take, let's say it's 30 centimeters high or 300 mil high, and then we'll work off that. Alright, so here's the update on the router table. So this is like 2 days later. Alright, so what I've gone ahead and done is cut like a frame out of 2x3s, countersunk, pre-drilled and screwed it in. So this piece of melamine isn't actually quite flush on some of the sides. So I'm going to run the flush trim bit round to try and make it a little bit neater. So the router's all ready to go. And then we'll be putting the legs on. So I'm going to run the flush trim bit around, and then I will come back. Right guys, so as you can see, I've put the top on, and I've also obviously put them around the edge. So I've cut the legs to length, and I've just obviously clamped them on. See how the height is. Height's perfect. So I'll just take you out the tripod quick. See there the router is. There the bit is, so I've got flush trimming at the minute with the bearing up top. And then obviously there the router is. So what we need to determine now is, obviously I'm going to screw the legs on. We need to figure out a way of holding the button closed. So the easiest way that I can think of, and which I've always done, is just with a spring clamp. So obviously put the spring clamp straight through and straight on, but I want something a bit more permanent than that if I can, but I actually just think I will leave it as that. So let's screw the legs on. Alright, so I went ahead with the countersink, if I can get it to focus. Here we go, so I went ahead with the countersink. So now what we'll do is change over to a normal bit, and we'll just get the legs. Look, they're I just roughly measured them. They're 12 inches, and if I can get some screws, it'd be nice. So I'm going to use some of these drywall screws. Just got hundreds of them. should be enough. Creating one of these, so I made this one years ago for an old table saw I used to use. Super straight, works really well, so it's got some veneered plywood so it's nice and smooth, and I'm basically going to recreate a smaller version. See, here's the router table. Obviously that's square to this, and obviously I could literally just use this. Probably will end up, because obviously I haven't got any more of this nice stock material. Anyway, so what will happen is that'll get pulled up nice and square. Just get a F clamp, whatever, does not really matter. So the reason I made this tapered down here is so you can slide a clamp in. Obviously I need to put it a bit tighter, and once this fence has been locked, it should not go anywhere. Okay, so obviously there's no dedicated clamping system yet. I will try and do that for future. So obviously that's super tight there, and square to the actual table. Alright, so I've gone ahead and put a dome cutting bit in. So obviously this one has not got a bearing. Set the fence up, got a piece of wood, and we'll give the router a test. So, obviously, there's the dome, perfectly straight all the way. If you can just look down, there we go, nice and straight. So, I think overall that was a success. Obviously, there's no dust collection on this table. There, so obviously there's dust everywhere, all under the router, obviously because it's falling through the gap, but overall that is a success and it works, and this will do me well, so you'll probably definitely see this in other videos. So thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe, comment and share. All the support really helps, and obviously go check out my Instagram page at Kid and Shed, so there will be a link at the end of the video and in the description. So guys, see you later, bye for now.